What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your girl, Ray P. Welcome back to another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast, discussing The Shy, Season 6, Episode 11, Saints and Sinners. Y'all know I'm not here by myself. I am joined by my amazing road dog, one of my best friends, producer, showrunner extraordinaire, the GOAT. Your favorite anything's favorite everything. Kyron Richardson, aka K Rich. What's going on?
Ray P. Incredible intro once again. Adding some new titles to the thing.
Hey, come
I
on.
appreciate that. I
Come
appreciate that.
on.
I'm um I don't blush easily, but you were gonna make me blush with that incredible introduction. I appreciate you.
Love
As
making
you know, and as everyone else knows, there's no other place I'd rather be than talking to Ray P.
no,
Talking television is just a bonus, but I'm good. I'm happy to spend this holiday Monday with you
for
to
sure.
talk about some television, to talk about The Shy, and get right into season six or continuing on to season six.
Yeah.
So for everyone out there enjoying their holiday, hopefully you're relaxing. Hopefully somebody fired up a grill, because you don't see too many of that anymore, man. We losing recipes, as Michael Irvin
Yeah.
said. Yeah,
Community is important.
absolutely, absolutely, man. Shout out to JP. JP hit me up and said, "Hey, man, there's a Dave having a cookout. Y'all don't know out there who we talking about, but Rachel and myself do.
Yeah.
But just that sense of community. So, yeah, welcome back to another episode of We Got Y'all. Before we get started, I forgot to say that last week there will be spoilers if you've not watched this week's episode, as well as explicit content. And if you are looking for The Shy, it is currently streaming on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Showtime show, but it is streaming on Paramount Plus. And as Rachel mentioned, we are talking about season 6, episode 11, Saints and Sinner, directed by Malachi, written by Rockwell Baker and Mia Brumfield. In this episode, Emmett plans to spend father son time with Darnell, but is bombarded by his half brother Damien. Jada reasons with Emmett to give his brother a chance. Papa is wooed by Pastor Ezekiel, causing tension with his mother, and so many other things, excuse me, that went on in this episode. Ray P, you texted me Friday or Saturday and
Hmm.
talked about how much you enjoyed this episode. You said it was a
For
great
sure.
episode. Let's get into it. Let's talk about your opening thoughts and some of the things we're going to discuss this week.
For sure. So, I actually corporately got off early on Friday. So I was able to watch it despite streaming it on Paramount Plus. I was able to watch it, I guess, semi early in the day.
Mm.
And I really, from someone who just consumes a lot of television in general, I just liked it from a consumption standpoint. It had a lot going on for sure, but it was a little lighter than the other episodes that we've seen so far in season 2 or part 2 of season 6. We talk all the time about me being a church nigga, so I'm always going to go for a church story even if it is a little ridiculous. I have so many thoughts on prosperity preaching. um it was good to get the backstory with that though, and see just what kind of church and pastor it is that Pastor Jackson did not fuck with. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I love that aspect. And Papa, regardless of that feeling, having to find his own way. Again, we talk about backstory. I like that we see how this dynamic affects Kenya, what relationship she has with this stepmother. Where is her real mother? What does that look like? I'm still looking for a little Maisha story, but I did enjoy the backstory of Brittany a little bit, talking to Gemma's father and Tierra. I like figuring out
I, I,
Rob and his father having an interesting dynamic, which sidebar is also phenomenal casting.
phenomenal
Leon
casting.
Jumper's father, or Alfonso as Rob's father. That is perfect casting. My
Hmm.
like they really look like they could be father and son in real life. Um,
Well, that's one of our favorite things. Great casting. We're going to
great.
shout it out every single time.
I like the backstory of Darnell trying to bring his other children together, even though there are still several other children other than Damien. those other sibling relationships where you don't share both parents, they can be tricky if you let them. And we see Emmett dealing with that in real time, because the reality is that no matter how close Emmett and Darnell are now, he hasn't really let go of the fact that Darnell was not really there for him in his childhood. And I mean, he's still a young adult, but even earlier adulthood, you know? So I just liked what we got from this story. Side eye to Tatiana because she's ridiculous. It was a little reminiscent of Raising Kanan, which is, one of my favorite shows in the Powerverse, with the older woman dynamic. And I want to ask you, obviously it's a thing, but is that super prevalent? I mean, I guess we're seeing these stories of teachers fucking students and all of that, but
You mean is this something that happens often?
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I've always That's a good question. I've always looked at it as a preference,
Mhm.
but I'm also 37, so now the older woman dynamic is just two adults just doing what they do. If
Yeah.
it's 44, 45, I don't, as far as maybe 31 and 18,
Yeah.
how prevalent that is, apparently I believe it is.
Ugh.
Um,
Y'all
I
know.
think there's a wave going on right now of
Mhm.
people are rewatching Stella, I guess, and
Fuck.
really trying to get into their own bag. I'm not sure what it's about, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's something that's very common like that. I really didn't understand that whole dynamic anyway.
Mhm.
Um, it just it just seemed messy, very messy, and I seen it was very messy and very
Yeah,
miscalculated. Because one thing that I will say, as being a young person, once upon a time, I'm still am, but I mean a super young, a kid, as we like to say on here. Um, Kids run their mouth.
for sure.
Kids run their mouth, and I've told the story. Maybe not on here. It was a Culture Garden episode. I told a story once about when I had one of my first sexual experiences
Mhm.
freshman year of high school during a football game
Mm,
behind the baseball field, and I
mm.
remember telling two people. Um, Shout out to Good, who we've mentioned plenty of times, and there was another person that I told, and Good held it down, and the other person didn't. And by the time the game was over,
Everybody knew.
everybody knew and shit got around, and old girl was salty. And from that, since that, I'm a strong subscriber to Don't Kiss and Tell.
For sure.
Um, that's just the way to move, especially when you're discussing other people's business. It's one thing to tell your story. When other people are involved in that story, maybe you might want to be a little bit more hesitant and cautious about what details you share, because it doesn't just affect you at that point. So it
For
can
sure.
get tricky. So for her to kind of dive in, the reason I even brought that up, for her to kind of uh, dive in with an 18-year-old, you got to know at some point this might come back. And it's going to be revealed, because you don't just throw a scene like that in there with nothing else to come from it.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about the themes and the events that took place in this episode. You mentioned the half sister or half sibling
Mhm.
situation, and I've always mentioned we quote Hove a lot. Um, had two kids from a previous Mister. One family, I don't believe in half sisters. We don't
Yeah,
do half sisters over here. Same way Darnell said that. Um, I find that very prevalent in black families. Like, that's my brother, that's my sister.
for
It don't
sure.
even matter who's mom, who's dad, and all that kind of stuff. If you family, you family. Um, a lot of interesting things, and I love how much this episode tied into real life issues.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is there forever. I think there's always going to be um an estranged relationship between your traditional church and your prosperity preaching, your mega churches, as they like to call it. Um, I love to see Papa more prevalent in this episode and get an idea of what he has going on. Very curious to know what Pastor Ezekiel has planned for Papa. I don't know if is that because of his relationship with Kenya, or is there something that he is looking to gain from having Papa around and have him as his assistant? I don't know. Um, yeah, there's a ton of breakdown, and you talked about it as well. The casting of Leon as Rob's dad, it was
Mm.
great. Where do you want to start in this episode? I have one quick thing that I don't know if we're gonna spend a ton of time on, and I just want to
Let's
kind of
start
get it
there.
out the way.
Yeah, let's start there.
Zay and Kenya, what's up with that?
Street niggas love a church girl.
Quick story. Quick story. I'm glad you said that. Quick story. I will never forget. I remember. I forget what year it was. I forget what movie this. What year this movie came out. But there's a
Is it
movie with.
the church girl?
Yeah, there's a movie with Ja Rule and
Adrian Bailon.
yeah, Adrian Bailon, and it was actually surprisingly in theaters because that's today in 2024. You look at a movie like that, and that's one of those straight to streaming
For sure.
type of situations, and it
For
was in
sure.
theaters. It was playing at one theater in Cincinnati, and I believe it was either. So my Mother's Day is a month away. Excuse me, my mother's birthday is a month away from Father's Day, so it's
Mhm.
always her birthday is June, and Mother's Day is in May. So I can't remember which one it was, but I asked her what she wanted to do, and she said I want to get some food and I want to go to the movies to watch. So I fell in love with a church girl, and I'm like, what? But of course, Mama says so. That's what we do. I remember going to Springdale Theater after
Mhm.
church, and we went to go see that movie. And I sat there the
Mhm.
whole time, and I watched the movie, and it just reminded me when I was thinking about this. It reminded me of that time I went to go see Ja Rule um, playing that film. And you're right, Rachel. Niggas do love hood. Niggas love a church girl.
I mean, the prophet Earl DMX Simmons said, "Why do good girls like bad guys?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that bad guys tell mad lies." And dog niggas with a woman with class, because sometimes she got more than a woman with ass. I think that's the last
Yeah, you
stand.
got it. You got it. You got it. Why do good
What-
girls
what-
like bad guys? Yeah, you're absolutely right
my
with it.
shit. I used to sing that with such glee in my youth.
But yeah, it's just a minor thing that they're throwing into our direction.
It's
You
gonna
mentioned this. I think you mentioned this the first episode.
probably
They're making the South Side much smaller than what it actually is.
for sure.
And I
For
get it
sure.
from a writing perspective. It's it might be a little much to start adding in new characters, especially
Mhm.
for the purpose of serving as a relationship or a
Yeah.
love interest for one main character or recurring character. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like, where y'all going with this? What's up?
Yeah, the only thing that not the only thing, but I don't know how I feel about Zay in general. We know he's kind of a snake, and we know that he can't be trusted. But I don't think that he knows the history of Kenya and Papa. Not that it would even matter to him.
Yeah, he don't care.
He does not care. But the relationship between Bakari and Zay, and then subsequently Papa and Zay, it will come into play.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point. Um, as a good girl, um, what is it about? I'm gonna leave it there. What is it about these hood niggas putting on their best behavior? My nigga opening the door. It's a mixture of I know the proper protocol, but I'm still gonna be myself. Like
For
I
sure.
know you're a pastor's daughter, but I'm still gonna smoke my weed. I'm still gonna offer you some weed. I want to get to know you a little bit. There was some authenticity there, but also,
It was.
I just didn't understand it. I don't understand where it's going.
It could go. It's
And she
going
seemed to be intrigued. I'm a fast
up.
learner.
She is. And here's the thing. He remember how they met, quote unquote. He started off with, is it true what they say about pastors' kids? And that is they the biggest freaks. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That is the stereotype or the rumor, quote unquote, the best unkept secret.
Yeah,
And she knew exactly what the fuck he was talking about too. And mind you, Kenya is a young, quote unquote, single mother. So I don't believe we got the true story of all of that. Maybe we did, I don't remember. But maybe he is factoring in that. And I like that she said, I have a son up front. And so here's the difference when you deal with somebody in the church versus outside, despite everything that you are supposed to be inside, there is a different level of grace for your humanity.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you. She has this baby. It's not a deal breaker. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. You're grown ish. Things happen. Whereas if you're dealing with somebody also from the church, there's this other element of judgment and condemnation that you don't get when you are just a human existing as yourself, not as an entity of your parent or whatever familial relationship to the church hierarchy. I can just be myself. And even if I don't know what that self is, there's a freedom for me to discover who that is with you. This person who does not have any of this other preconceived expectation of me to be semi or quasi perfect.
Yeah, as the late great Nelson Mandela said, "I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying."
Come on.
And I think this episode was a great microcosm of how do we define good and evil? Um,
Mm,
how do we define saints and sinners?
for sure.
Who's really what? There are many instances
For
throughout
sure.
where the people who are supposed to be holy are acting unholy, and the people who
Yeah.
aren't. You get a little bit more inside information. One in particular, when we talk about Zay, is when he's in the car with Kenya.
Mhm.
I do appreciate the conversation, and he's laying the game on.
For sure.
However, he is being genuine because we know as viewers that he is tired of having a boss.
Mhm.
And this isn't the first time that it's been brought to him, and this isn't the first time he's had that thought. And I love how he said, what's it takes to be a boss? A cool head, a cold heart, and a cool head.
Yeah,
I
I
got
like
the cool head, but I don't, the heart ain't that cold.
that's
And she
it.
was
So
like,
you a lover boy. You a sweet nigga too.
"You a sweet nigga, you a ladies man." Um, so I think that scene at least was more for more to show us very, very Rashad and Nunu in the car
For sure.
type of energy,
For
just kind of
sure.
getting to know each other. It wasn't anything like, hey, I'm trying to get you in the back seat. It's more so
Yeah.
let's just vibe out. There's nothing better than just rolling one up and sitting in the whip. How do you feel about car dates in general?
Now I do hope they went somewhere prior to that.
I was gonna say,
Like,
how do you feel about car dates?
a car date is not a thing. We
Okay.
might end up in the car chilling because I will sit in the car by myself when I pull into my driveway or garage and just sit and decompress in the car before I come into the house my damn self. Howsoever, I don't even want to say a thing that bothered me, but I was really hopeful, and I'm still hopeful that they went somewhere else. Like, nigga, at least had taken Kenya to get some fucking smokies or something to eat. Since that's the only
Yeah.
restaurant on the south side.
Yeah. Apparently.
At least had taken her to get something to eat to Harold's or
I'm about
something.
to say, get some Harold's.
And now we in the car smoking, talking, chilling. Because those little moments matter as well. Now I just want to backtrack a little bit. Um, I do think that there is a sweetness in the balance between somebody who is a little bit of both. And that is really the perfect thing. You want somebody that can protect you and is not scary and this and the third, but also reserved, gentleman, sweet. And I think that Zay potentially could be that. I don't know. We don't know. The nigga's a
Yeah.
killer.
We don't know. I don't know what he has. It's almost like they're trying to make him redeeming in a sense.
Hmm.
We'll see how it goes, man. It
Yeah,
might be one
or
of
can you
those.
get caught up in the bullshit and something
Yeah,
happen?
man. Right now it's we don't believe you. You need more people.
Yeah,
However, I can see I can see the character, the heel, not the heel turn, but the face turn coming as far as him being somebody that we enjoy.
for sure.
Um, all right. So we got that out the way because, like I
Yeah.
said, it was very minor, but it is something worth discussing.
Well,
Even him being in church, like I'm like, nigga, why did you why wait? I'm not saying obviously go to church, get your spirit together and all that. It
mhm,
just felt out of place for him to be there, and I
not for
feel
me.
like it didn't. It just
No,
feel like everything he does has a motive.
it's calculated
Yeah, and I
for
guess
sure.
out of place sounds awful because nobody's out of place at church.
Mhm.
Um, But I wonder what his real reasoning was. If it was to get the word, or if it was to get with Kenya.
Now, see, here's the thing. We learned that Zay is from down south.
Mm-hmm.
Country niggas love church.
Good
So
point.
he probably very much was a knucklehead who grew up in church, got sent up to a relative to keep your ass out of trouble. So, in the words of the thorn in my side, what's in you got to come out. So, we already talked about him being calculated. So, yes, I did go to church to maybe give me a word because I've always gone to church despite being a knucklehead ass nigga. But also, I know he already knew who Kenya was. I got my eye on you. Okay, this your daddy church. I'm gonna pull up so you can catch me. I'm gonna step to you in here versus you seeing me out doing my thing, and it's not as easy for me to quote unquote break character or have enough away time to be able to come shoot at you. You know what I'm saying? No pun. So
Yeah, and I like that. That was good. That was good. All right, cool, cool. And Pastor Ezekiel looks like his type of nigga.
for
If I'm
sure.
gonna go to church, I'm gonna go to the nigga talking that cash.
Where do we know Pastor Zeke from?
Um, he looked like Bishop Todd in real life, but I don't know where I know him from.
I have got to figure that out because we definitely
Um,
know him from somewhere.
let's talk, and then I'll try to figure out what he might be from. I know his name's Daniel Watts, the actor who portrays
Mhm.
him. Um, and he looks different here than he does in other things. I know he was in the Marvelous Miss Maisel. Did you
No,
watch that?
no,
I don't know. I know the other thing that he was a part of was Werewolf by Night. I think that's one. It's a TV movie
no.
that people kind of give him credit for. If you ever watched The Deuce, he was in a couple episodes of The Deuce, and then The Last OG.
Damn, I don't know where I know this nigga from, but it's none of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at his filmography. There's nothing that I watch
Okay,
with
this
him
nigga
in
put
it.
an episode of Power or nothing. He's definitely
Nah.
a your face. Okay, I'll figure it out.
I told you who I thought he was supposed to be. I thought it was him the whole time.
Who?
Todd, but whatever. Either way, where you want to go next?
Well, let's stay in that same vein and let's talk about Papa in his
Mhm.
relationship with Pastor Ezekiel and his mother and Bakari and all of that. I okay. I don't do the whole prosperity preaching thing. Howsoever, I am proud of Papa for stepping out. However, I do think that Pastor Zeke has ulterior motives for Papa.
Mhm.
I think that Papa's pulpit is beginning to garner a few more listeners. I'll say that. At first, I was thinking on the first watch, well, maybe he really wants to take this young man under his wing because he knows that he and Kenya are friends. And I think that maybe he desires to be closer to his daughter and he is not just worried about the money and this, that, and the third. Howsoever, I do think he's a wolf in sheep's clothing ass nigga. And that gives me pause. And I don't think that Papa has enough experience to be able to spot that yet because he is still very much finding himself and he's still reeling from his father's passing despite knowing that that's not where he would want him to be. Papa is finding his own way and I have to respect that. A place where his mother is not quite at, understandably so.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Really, was this more about Papa just kind of walking his own path
For
versus
sure.
anything else? Because he knows, and it does. I will say it takes a lot of courage, especially at that age, to do things that you feel are best for you versus what your parents or those who look over you
Mhm.
have you, what they envision for you. There's
Yeah.
even a scene later in this episode with Gemma.
Hmm.
And her dad said, my life, my vision for your life was a lot different from this. And we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot. How, your parents or whoever guardians, they have a plan for your life, but it doesn't always, go that route. And I was proud of Papa for kind of leaning into it, but
Hmm.
also, man, you are so young because you don't kind of see the potential that goes here. Now, once again, Daddy doesn't like this style of, preaching. Doesn't like what it stands for. You also have the Kenya aspect of it. And I
Hmm.
wonder if that's the saving grace, if that's what's giving Papa a little bit more leeway because hey, I know him from dating his daughter.
Yeah.
So maybe I know a little bit more about him, and I'm still naive enough to see the good in everyone and
Mhm.
not believe that everyone has an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think about the olive branch? Him showing up to Papa's church or pastor's church.
It's calculated.
Hmm.
It's definitely a calculated thing. I think that Pastor Zeke knew that Pastor Jackson wasn't a huge fan, and there in part, Mrs. Jackson is likely not a huge fan either. And so when I say I have to go do something at my father's church, here's the thing: people are still going to the Jackson's church despite Pastor Jackson's untimely passing or murder.
Murder. Yeah. I was about to say murder.
And so Pastor Zeke wants to check that out as well because it says something about a congregation if the shepherd can pass and the sheep still say, and I hate saying that as in regards to church, like these are the sheep, but it says something about the message and the nature of this edifice of this house where we haven't all left to go flock to what y'all got going on. And I want to get in here. Maybe I wasn't welcome before because I knew Pastor Jackson ain't like me, but he ain't there. So now this is my opportunity to go see, come put my eyes on the place, see what we talking about up in here, even if it wasn't during quote unquote church. Sometimes just a foot in the door is a foot in the door, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Mama Jackson?
I feel bad for her, and Papa is right. She is still grieving.
Yeah.
Howsoever, she wants Bakari out of that house, and she very much blames Bakari for Pastor Jackson's death.
Do you agree with her when she says Papa is abandoning his church? Do you share that same sentiment?
Abandoning, no, because he's still coming to help take care of business.
Right.
Um, unless you're asking Papa to come preach, like he still has to be fed. And I'm not saying that Pastor Zeke is feeding him, but it is something different. And there is something different about that church environment where he may be able to get something that right now he's missing. And might not even be able to tap in spiritually at his home church just because of the cycle of grief and the nature of this is my father's church and he's not here.
Going back to something you said, how long is Bakari going to be in that house?
Bakari needs to be packing his things. Even
Yeah.
though Papa told him don't worry about it, he is indirectly responsible because again, we've talked about it, and then even at the end of the episode, Bakari made reference to Duda wanting him to follow his footsteps. And Pastor Jackson was very firm in claiming Bakari as one of his, despite,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in turn, and my husband trying to save your life, he lost his. The human side of Mrs. Jackson resents that nigga. And even though being in that house has changed Bakari's life, it is beneficial to him. He got to get out them people way.
Yeah. Because Bakari, what do we say? Bakari's what, 18
Mm-hmm.
or so, right around there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's tough. That's a tough spot to be in. Regardless, it's that's one of those things you have to give people some space.
Yeah,
They kind of grieve how they need to grieve. It's hard to take care of yourself on top of somebody else's needs,
for
especially in
sure.
a moment like that. So you're right. And that once again, we talked about being young.
Hmm.
That's Papa not knowing. That's Papa like, hey, you good. She just grieving. But there's very much a thing such as overstaying your welcome.
First, woo, for
Even
sure.
if that is that was a word for you. Even if Pastor Jackson would have wanted you there, unfortunately, the reality is he's no longer here.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I can't continue to carry this on, especially when, like you said, you're directly or indirectly responsible for this. And I feel that in my soul and my spirit.
And here's the
And
other part to that.
yeah,
That's exactly why Mrs. Jackson hasn't put him out, because she has to
mhm,
wrestle with the fact that despite wanting that nigga gone, she knows that he will want him in that house.
yeah, yeah, and that's a real thing. Trying to honor the requests and wishes of those
Hmm.
who have moved on. And we see sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. There's plenty of instances where, grandma has something in the will that she specifically
Hmm.
says she wants done, and the whole family fights over it, even though it's very clear what is supposed to be done, because they're not there to kind of enforce their wishes.
For
And
sure.
it kind of shows, the character of a person. Getting back to Bakari, because the only other thing we really um, see him do in this episode is use that
That.
journal that Professor Gardner gave him. And man, it made me think, Rachel, it was great to get it out.
Hmm.
You talk about it all the time. You can't hear what you don't reveal.
Yeah.
It was great for him to start writing his story. You see how serious he is about changing things up.
Hmm.
Is this journal going to get him caught up? Because some of the things he's writing
Their
is
confession.
is they're confessions, they're incriminating. If that journal falls in the wrong hands, maybe it could cause some trouble for Bakari. I don't know if the show is I don't know if they're gearing this towards, hey, this young man just needs to get it out, or if this is a bigger play. Because we said it also, I think last week we mentioned, unfortunately, as much as we want to see Bakari thrive,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's going to end up that way. I don't know
Hmm.
what the demise is going to be, but it just feels like it's headed for something bad. What do you think about that journal? And is it going to cause more harm or help?
I hope it causes help. Um, not that I'm wishing on Bakari's demise and his downfall.
Absolutely not.
Howsoever, I'm hoping that the journal is just truly a vehicle for him to express himself. It maybe is something, a tool to help him really get away from them, because you can acknowledge that you've done certain things, but sometimes seeing it in black and white, it's like, God damn, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I'm wilding. I hope if there is a demise for Bakari, I hope that it is subsequent to something else and not this journal. I
Same.
think
I
the
think,
journal is easy.
yeah. And it sucks because I feel like Bakari was just finding his place
Hmm.
in this world. Especially when they had that still frame or that flashback of Papa and Pastor Jackson kind of taking the selfie. It was one of
Yeah.
those like, man, like you really felt like you were there. And he's looking at his life as a whole, and he's like, I never expected to fall in love, but here I am with Lene. He
Hmm.
is, taking an audit of who he can trust and who has his back. He mentioned Shad.
Yeah.
He mentioned Papa. Um, he talked about how he never really had people in his life and how him and his sister had to struggle. And there is a part of you that, cries for Bakari and the kids
For
like
sure.
him because that is a reality that far too many face. And he's also going with the theme of the episode. He's also got that saint and sinner side of him. For
For
everything that he
sure.
wants to do good, um, there's the bad that he has done, and he's trying to reconcile with, and also obviously the overhead, the cloud hanging over his head, which is Duda.
Hmm.
He's kind of been tapped to be the one.
Yeah.
Duda says he can be like him, and he doesn't want that for himself.
Hmm.
But he also sees what it's like when you try to escape that grasp,
For
and is
sure.
he going to survive? So it's very. Bakari has become one of my most intriguing characters to watch. I'm really invested in his storyline. I want to know how that works for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when he slammed the journal shut, because this is getting now. It's if anybody's ever journaled or just had those moments of reflection or going to therapy, there are moments when it's like, all right, this is too real.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I need a
Mm-hmm.
break. I need to kind of calm down. There's a lot of trauma that I've went through that I'm still trying to sort through. I've been at proms, and school dances. I've also had guns held to my head. I've also taken lives. There's a lot to balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Bakari, man. I
Yeah.
really hope.
Sorry.
I want him to have a happy ending. I
I
really do.
same. I love him.
Yeah,
Uh
I really do.
it
Maybe I'm thinking. I'm sorry, real quick. I wonder if Professor Gardner never mentioned if the journal was solely for him or if that's something. Remember, he said, "I want to hear your story from the beginning,"
mm-hmm.
but I don't think there was anything mentioned about, "Hey, I want to read this journal." He gave it to him as something for himself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got you, got you.
I believe that to be the case. Um so in sticking with that, let's talk a little bit about Jake and Tatiana. Again,
Hey,
this
hey.
bitch is tripping. Um I briefly mentioned it, but so I'm curious about Kenya's real mother. I don't recall anything from part one saying that she had passed or anything to that nature. But we meet Lady Tatiana again at church, and she starts pressing Jake instantly in front of her husband,
In
though.
front of your husband is crazy.
So clearly the bitch has no sense or couth. She follows Jake on Instagram, so she must have went through Kenya's fucking friends list. And she's not clearly younger than Pastor Zeke, but I'm curious as to how much older than Kenya and Jake and them she is, because even she's a year older than them. So I'm curious as to how much older than her Tatiana is.
I'd
So,
imagine. So Kenya's how old? You say 18, right?
well, we know
No,
she's a
19.
year older
Yeah, so
than them.
she's
So if he's
19.
19, maybe 20.
So Pastor Ezekiel, at minimum, we'll say, because let's say he had her at 18,
Mm-hmm.
which he probably didn't. He probably had her after that. But let's say he
Yeah.
did have her 18. He's at least
Mm-hmm.
38.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess he's in his early 40s.
Yeah.
That would be a fair guess. 41, 42,
Mm-hmm.
which would mean that I think she's given 31, like
Yeah.
29 to 31, late
Yeah.
20s, early 30s. Like definitely younger, because if you're gonna go with all the stereotypes, you might as well go all the way in with it.
Mm,
He's not having a 41-year-old or
yeah.
35-year-old first lady. He's going with a young woman. Um, Jake had he had no business, or no business. Excuse me. He had no um what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't feel bad at all about
Not at
eyeing
all.
this woman down
Not
right
at
in
all.
front of him. And there are certain things. If you are a church goer and you go to church with people who don't go to church, there is a certain etiquette that they lack and they don't
For
understand.
sure. For
And
sure.
he sees it as no different than if I was on the block or if I was at a spot. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
bad, and I'm trying to see what's good with her,
Yeah.
and she's throwing it back. No pun intended. As far as I like your hair. I grew it myself. Like,
Mm.
just those, like, bro, what are you doing? And Papa sees it, like, man, come on, like, chill. You got
Yeah.
a lady, like,
Oh, the
man, I don't care.
Zeke.
Yeah,
Everybody's seen it.
yeah. Zeke saw it, which is obviously he has a certain position to play, so he can't really get buck in the church
Mm-hmm.
the way you want to. But he'll probably, I don't know. I've always been under the belief that you know your wife,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know what your wife or spouse. I don't want to make this a woman thing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what your spouse is capable of, or your person, your partner. You know if they're gonna be on trash or if they ain't gonna be on trash. You know if
Yeah.
they're flirtatious. You know if they're not. So there are some people where you like, I'm not even worried about, my partner cheating because I know what it is. And there's
Yeah.
others where you got that wandering eye. You better be cool.
For sure.
I thought it was a funny little thing at the beginning, but when she pulled up to the apartment, I'm like, oh, you all the way out of pocket. You bold. You don't even care.
Bold. And to be asking this young man, I see you got a couple dollars. Don't you want to spend it on me? Bitch, I smack the fuck out of you. Are you crazy?
And I love how he said no.
He
Spend it on.
honest. And again, Jake is a kid. He's a kid, so he don't even
Why would I do that? Like that's what's going through his head. Why would I even do that?
exactly. And so I don't know. She's a different kind of bird, but Kenya, it's gonna come to a head, obviously. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a part of the story. But I'm very curious, and like I said at the top, it reminded me of Raising Canaan with what's her face and Canaan, homegirl's mother.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot her name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm very curious as to
That was even more wild because Kanan was a full ass teenager. I
exactly
mean,
as to what comes from this. Does it become a scandal on the South Side? Is it just a church scandal? Does she get pregnant? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Something is gonna happen.
if
It's gonna be major.
I don't think she gets pregnant, I think Gemma presses about who this mystery woman is,
Mm,
and then maybe finds out who it is, and then there's a discussion with Kenya, and
yeah,
then Kenya exposes it all. I would not be surprised. Would not be surprised, and this is very television, but it would not surprise me if it's exposed in church
for sure.
in front of the congregation. Because who doesn't love
For
a
sure.
drama filled day like that? This is all speculation. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I can see it going that route.
Yeah.
Or Gemma gets involved with Brittany heavily, and she doesn't even care anymore about who it is that Jake is messing with.
Mm.
I
I
don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
I like where you're going with the Gemma pressing it and it gets exposed in the church. I like, just speaking of Gemma, I like that Brittany did not have sex with her. Um,
Uh, all right, and I meant to say this when we were talking about Bakari.
okay.
Still no Bakari action from
Mm-hmm.
Brittany's perspective. From what
Mm-hmm.
we see,
Yeah.
she was told explicitly what her role is, and I still don't see that. Now, I don't know if she wanted the no sex thing to happen because of her not being on point when it comes to getting information on Bakari, or if she really felt that way. But I just thought it's interesting that she still is not. She's doing everything but spying on and spending time with Bakari.
It's game, baby.
Mm. Makes her wonder even more, huh?
For sure. It's game. And now I got you. The kiss last week was one thing,
Now
but
your people's
now
fuck with me.
your people's fuck with me, and I already know you jealous. I'm about to have you eating at the palm of my hand, regardless. So good luck to Gemma on her journey, cause woo, she's
Brittany
about to
got
be
that
doing good.
mouthpiece.
She's
You
about
said
to
it
be
last week.
doing
You said it last week, and even Tierra text
I
me. I
think
see why you like her. Let me know, Tierra. What's up with you? You
that
trying
means
to?
she can get Tierra ass too. Hello,
Yeah, yeah.
hello.
That's exactly what that means.
So it's tricky. I'm curious about what Brittany is going to be doing. I like that she was giving us backstory about she and Bakari's life, despite her not doing the job that she was hired to do. And I have to wonder when the fuck she's going to start trying to spend time with Bakari.
It's got to
And
be happening.
go ahead.
It's got to be next week, right?
It's got to be.
Next week is episode 4 of 8.
Yeah, it's got to be. Or do we get a back story or a B line, a B plot of Bakari playing her to the left when she's trying to spend time with him? Like, do we get something like that. We see her try, and Bakari is kind of standoffish because, yes, I love you, sister, but I also don't know you, because he has every right to not really be super trusting towards anybody other than Papa, other than Lene, the people I've insulated myself with.
Right. The shot you put. Are you putting shot in there?
I'm putting Shot in there, but him, and remember, he and Shaw got a little rift about them guns.
Yeah.
So we've not seen them connect at all in this second half.
What do you think of Marcus in this situation? Um, Marcus St. John. We see him a very present father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, doesn't appear to be not appears to be non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think he's viewing this whole Gemma storyline, this arc, and Gemma's independence? I guess is the right way to say it.
I've always liked Marcus
Yeah,
as a character, as a father. I think he doesn't know what to think about all of this bullshit, because he very much still wants Gemma to go to college. And I do too. Like, girl, take your ass to school. Like, what are you doing? You can go to school in Chicago. Go to Loyola.
yeah. Go to DePaul. Go to Loyola.
Go to Northwestern. Like, you could
Northwestern.
do
Yeah.
something in Chicago that would allow you to still manage these rap groups. you know?
It I feel it's not she's not popping to the point where all your time is dedicated to this. You can still do this as a
Exactly.
side hustle.
Exactly.
Go
Exactly.
go to class and then go to the studio after, just like every other college student.
Just like every other college student. And then, being that Brittany is still a fledgling artist, now my question would be, okay, if you're the person responsible for her being able to afford this beautiful ass apartment, what the fuck you do? Because you ain't got no records. I ain't
All
heard you.
questions that need to be asked.
I know, I guess you sell a little weed, but is that you selling that much weed to where you could afford to pay her enough to pay for this apartment and to cook? Are you crazy?
Yeah, there's more. There's more to the story. That's where my antennas are going up. Like, hold on, man. How much do you know about this girl? Like, have you
That
seen her? Have you seen her work? Did you ever even ask where the money came from? Which there's always forget what it came from. There's always that quote. Nobody asks you where you got your money. They ask you if you had it.
that part. That
Um, so I can understand Gemma not even asking. Like, if you're giving me 10 bands or whatever it was, and cool, I'll take it.
and that's only $10,000. So you've paid your rent up how much? How many months? You on the south side?
That's 3 months, maybe.
Maybe.
That's $2,500 apartment, I think. We in Chicago. I don't know. At least 2 bands at the
Come
minimum.
on.
Looks like it's larger than a 1 bedroom, so that's where I'm getting the 25 from.
That part.
Yeah, you maybe have 3, 4 months paid up. Like, how are you getting the rest of it?
So then what you gonna do? That's my question. So I guess Maisha is paying her. I'm just very curious as to where else money is coming from, because then that would be a concern. Because Brittany, are you going to continue to go back to Duda and say for money with absolutely no results? We're not even getting group scenes with all of them together. You know what I'm saying? It would even like we did when they first met, or when Brittany first came on the scene, at the
Yeah.
party. So I'm very, 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 very curious. But shout out to Brittany. She did her thing. She put on her charm, that mouthpiece for the parents. Again, I said I was happy that she didn't sleep with Gemma. And this is a thing about being young. She was so ready as a reaction to hearing that Jake slept with Tatiana. You just ready to go out and do your thing, not even cognizant of the consequences or the chain reaction that comes from you taking this essentially major step, some shit you've never even done with somebody way faster than you.
And Gemma ready.
And
Brittany
Gemma,
got Gemma.
yeah,
I'll be the first to say not from experience, but just from
Mhm.
observing life. Niggas worry about niggas trying to get their girls. Wait till the white wait till the white to the white. Wait till the right woman tries to get your
Mhm.
girl.
Mhm.
Ooh, then you got some problem on your hands.
For sure. For sure. It's nothing like a woman with a mouthpiece. They are worse than niggas with.
Nah, seriously.
Gemma is in for the ride of her damn life and she don't even know it.
Yeah, man. I want you to feel something new.
She don't even know it.
So there's more to life to explore. Yeah, man. All that shit. Gemma ready. Gemma ready.
Big
Speaking of Gemma,
yeah.
Gemma and Jake. I said last week,
Hmm.
just very plainly and candidly, Gemma and Jake are over.
Period.
We've been dancing around it. We see it.
Hmm.
And I love the fact that they had a conversation. And it always comes back to Brittany.
Yeah.
Now, were you expecting Jake to be as direct and cutthroat?
Yes. But that is who Jake has been since we've met him.
Facts.
There's a filter missing there somewhere. And he's not really apologetic about it. He just kind of is very matter of fact. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. It is what it is.
Very logical when it comes to that.
Very logical, very much so. Hmm.
Like it's not the emotional part of it doesn't matter because what I'm saying is true, and
Yeah.
that's all that should matter. And we
Yeah.
all know, yeah, truth is truth, but there is a certain way to
Hmm.
kind of go about it. And
Hmm.
yet, like you said, he lacks that. And for her to say, which is comical, for her to say, if we're going to be together, you have to be honest, which is, it made me question. I'm like, all right, are you planning on staying together? Because he told you straight up, like, a woman came over here earlier and she let me fuck.
Here's the thing about being 18, 19 in these overly grown relationships.
Right.
You don't know what the fuck is going on or what the fuck you want. And I like that Jake was like, I'm 18.
You think you want me to only fuck you for the rest of my life?
That's a conversation that 40-year-old men are having.
Straight up. Straight up.
So for Jake at 18 to be like, why do you think that? And they've gone through so much miscarriage. I guess that's the biggest thing that they've gone through, but that's a major life event.
For that age, man, shit, that's hard.
Especially
That's
at
hard
that
now.
age. Exactly, exactly. So I feel bad, but I like that he was kind of, I'm not gonna say he was immature about it. He was the same Jake we've always known him to be, very kind of matter of fact. I think Gemma was taken aback, but you have to realize that you have had these same thoughts. You've thought about wanting to be with other people. You just have not truly acted on it. And be it not for him being honest about being with Tatiana, he still would not know about this kiss.
Nah, that's a fact.
So
That's
I
a
don't
that's a
know.
fact. And of
Tricky.
course, that conversation was what even led to Gemma going to see Brittany at the
Going to see
studio, and that conversation
Mhm.
about, hey, like, I don't think we should do this. We should keep it business
Yeah,
because if it goes this way, ain't I think Brittany said, ain't no turning back.
that part. Cause she
Um,
know. She know what a cage bird sing.
yeah. Were you surprised? I was a little bit surprised by the tear. I'm like, all right, Gemma.
It's extra.
Like, all
But she
right,
doesn't. But here's the thing. Gemma is also a young girl whose boyfriend cheated on her
yeah.
with this older woman. And now the other person that she was potentially entertaining is telling her that she does not want her in so many words. Not that I'm not interested, but now you've thrown your body at me and you've been asking for it for real, for the last 6 episodes. You know what I'm saying? You've been trying to get me, and now I'm trying to give it, and you don't want it. So, what is it? As a young teenager with limited life experience, I'm not surprised by that tear because now this is a gut punch to my esteem. I came over here so you could do something to make me feel good. You know what
Ray P.
I'm saying? I'm just
Nah,
saying.
that's a great reference. Great
Yeah,
pull. Yeah. Um, keep your eyes on that, everyone. Let's keep your
for
eyes
sure.
on. But I know we've been talking about them in the sense of their relationship. Rachel and myself agree that that relationship is over in
Yeah.
itself. However, the additional dynamics are what's really going to be the thing to keep an eye on, especially with Tatiana, and how that comes about.
Mhm.
Because I don't see that as a one and done.
No,
However, Tatiana does give me she's on the prowl wherever. Like that's
for
not
sure.
obviously that's not the first time she's done that.
For sure.
And I can see her doing it again. Being as bold to do it with somebody who was in your, church and you in front of your husband. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe they have an arrangement. Who knows? Who knows? It's just funny
Child.
little thing. Funny little thing. But as we move along throughout the episode, we only have a few more things that we
Mhm.
haven't addressed. We have Emmett and his family dynamic. We have Alonzo and Alicia slash Rob, and we also have Shad and Alicia.
Okay. Let's do Emmett. And so we can end with Shad and Alicia or Alicia and Rob,
Okay.
whichever.
Okay then. So we'll talk about Emmett.
Emmett is too damn grown to be acting childish like that,
Way too grown.
especially as a man with 5011 children by 5011 women.
Yeah.
I literally was just having a conversation about childhood trauma affecting you in this various ways. And we see that with Emmett and Damien. It's interesting though, because now here it is, this new character introduced. I'm now curious about Damien's life growing up because Darnell said they're about the same age, but there was something about Damien that felt childish to me, or
Absolutely.
very young, and I could not tell if they were putting so much sauce on that to kind of juxtapose against the real life stresses of Emmett's life. You know, you a father of multiple children. Your life is in danger with a major drug lord. So you can't be carefree and jovial, like this,
Right.
like Damien.
I like how you said that. I think that's the biggest part of it. It really comes down to at a young age, Emmett lost the innocence
For
of
sure.
being a kid.
For sure.
Once you have kids, that's kind of what it is. Even if you take the Duda situation out of it, you have multiple children by multiple women at a
Hmm.
very young age.
Hmm.
At an age where people haven't even graduated college yet.
Yeah.
That's just a lot, and it does show how differently their lives are.
Hmm.
Also shows how much it's a line that Rob used earlier, but the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Yeah.
You were, as they say, you are your daddy's son. And the way you moving, which is even more. And I love the fact that Jada called him out on that.
Yeah.
Like you of all people should understand
Hmm.
how it could be getting to know it. Now, if the approach is something that bothers you, then I get that.
Yeah.
Pops, let me holler at you for a second, man. Like, can you be a little bit more open and with your communication about who this is, that you want to bring them around, that you want us to have a relationship? Because
Yeah.
I'm planning things thinking it's just going to be me and you, or I'm planning these, laser tag, I'm planning dinner, and
Hmm.
now I got to set an extra plate, which is not
Yeah.
saying it's an issue, but I'm being bombarded by a
Sure.
stranger. Like he comes up to me a laser tag, and I'm like, "Oh, who? I thought this is just a regular nigga
Right.
taking this shit a little bit too seriously."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you passively, it's just the fact that you passively just say, "Oh yeah, y'all around the same age." Like you just kind of very nonchalantly, like I'm not gonna have questions. Like this isn't a
Mhm.
big deal. And then even to end our conversation with, "There's no workout here. He's trying to get a job. Maybe you can
Mhm.
get him on a Smokies." Like so now you want favors for him as well.
Mhm.
I know that's my brother. To Emma's point, air quotes. But damn, you asking a lot, and I don't even know him. I do think that it was very strategic that Papa was told that he has to quit his Smokey's job in order to be the assistant, and all of a sudden there's, a position or somebody who's needing a job. So I could see that happening, and I think we're gonna have Damien as a maybe not an important character, but a recurring character that's gonna
Mhm.
serve some type of purpose.
Yeah.
I am curious to see if Emmett's maturity will kind of, with Jada's talk, if it will rear its head
Mhm.
and maybe understand that this isn't. If there's anybody that beef with, it's with Darnell.
Yeah.
Um, it's an interesting, funny thing. You said it at the beginning. Those siblings, those half siblings, even though we don't refer to them as that,
Yeah.
it can still be because like Emmett did have a good point. I don't know you. Like I don't
Mhm.
know you, bro. Like I know we blood or whatever, and you seem like a pretty decent person. Hopefully, the prayer um over dinner.
Hey, don't be leading a prayer in my house, bro.
First of all, yeah, we're not doing that. You already weren't invited, and you lead the prayer. There's just certain
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that's like touching a man's grill.
Yeah.
There's certain things you just respect the man of the household on, and you let them do that. The man, the head of the household puts the star on the Christmas tree, leads the prayer, fixes the meat for the barbecue, all types of things.
For
So
sure.
yeah, I'm with Emmett on certain things, but I genuinely, and I don't know if it's just me just being a softie or what. I genuinely felt bad for
I did
Damien.
too. I did too, because the reality is, even if he and Emmett are close to the same age, Emmett is the oldest. Like, that's been
Yeah,
established.
yeah, and you can see Damien wants that
And
camaraderie.
he wants that. And so I'm wondering, we know Darnell got a bunch of kids. We learned that when we met Darnell. So I'm curious to know, who are all these other children. When we met him, he was with that other woman. I don't think they were married. Like, and those kids were smaller. Were all of those yours or hers? You know what I'm saying? So I'm very, very, very curious as to what that relationship dynamic with all those people look like. And as the oldest, at some point, especially if someone is reaching out, you have to accept it, because it's not their fault. They didn't ask to be here, just like you did. And this is your daddy's bullshit, you know? So
Absolutely.
as long as you ain't doing no weird shit to me, to my family, to my children, kids said, who is you?
Hey man, straight up. Who was you? Who the fuck is you?
Uncle, I would have bopped him in his head when he said half uncle. You've never heard that term a day in your life. Stop playing.
Ever. Yeah, now you being petty and childish.
Yeah. But I like that Jada got him together. And she's absolutely right, because Keisha, with her one child coming from horrendous circumstances, does not, you and your three kids by three different women, they're not equal, you know? And so she's accepted that and thanks you for even the help that you provide her. So Emmett got to get over it. But I understand being like a little salty, but I hope that he moves on and embraces this brother, and
He
he becomes
should.
somebody that's valuable to him.
He should. It's the right thing to do. Get over the shock factor of it. Talk to your pops. Have an adult conversation about it. Like you said,
And
tell your dad, man, freaky ass niggas need to stay their ass inside. Niggas, stay your ass inside and stop like sowing your royal oats.
well, now he's married to Jada, so I
Yeah,
think that
yeah, yeah. But still, like
cool.
I'm
I
giving
think
you
that
shit.
he's cool. Howsoever, Emmett needs friends that are, one, his age, and two, not sleeping with his ex-wife.
That's a fact.
I
That's
like that he and Rob are cool, but you need people unrelated to all of the bullshit. You need some outside
you.
friends.
Whenever there's a funny little thing like that going on, I don't care how cool you are, you ain't never cool.
That part.
That's always gonna linger. You can function and nobody might even not ever get an inkling of beef or issues, but it's always gonna be between y'all. And it's always gonna be that little thing that hangs over your head.
Yeah.
Like, man, you are sleeping with my ex-wife.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
care how cool we are, I don't care what type of nigga you are. That's always gonna be a funny little thing.
Yeah. Tricky. Mm.
Speaking of Tiff.
Speaking of
Did you
Tiff,
have anything else you wanted to say about Emmett? I think that was really it. Just his reaction and
that's it. If I
having.
was Tiff, I would have folded when Alonzo asked me who I was. Whoever you want me to be.
Hey, listen. Let me tell you something, Rachel. Let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something right now. If you meet my pops and the first thing you say is your dad is handsome, get the fuck out.
I folded for less.
Get out. Your dad is handsome. How is that's how you start the conversation?
Your daddy is fine. It's nothing I can do about that.
But you know, maybe lean into it. Hey, when's the last time you saw him? Or it seemed like I didn't even know. You never talk about your dad. The first thing you say is your dad is handsome. Get out of
That's
here.
how fine Leon is.
Leon, hey, Leon is I don't care who you are. Um, I know niggas like to play, the pause game and all that shit. But
Mhm.
also they're mature individuals.
For sure.
Every nigga knows um the list of men that your aunties, your cousin, your mama. Issa had, I forget, I think it was one of Denzel's. It was a tribute for Denzel. He was winning an award, and Issa presented and just talked about how when Devil in the Blue Dress would come on, her mom and aunts would sound like hyenas in heat and making these kind of sounds that sounded dirty and sounds that her
Mhm.
dad, she didn't think her dad should be hearing. They felt like they were cheating. And Leon's been on that list for a very long time.
Sure.
Um, Before we were born, I'm sure right around that time,
Come
before
on.
5 Heartbeats, when he was in Madonna's video, the whole nine. So Leon has been one where I've never heard a woman say they weren't folding. And it's some women, so some people are just like that. You just got to accept it. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
There's a list of actors,
For,
famous people, whoever, that just on that list, man. You just got to take it for what it is. Be secure
for
in
sure.
yourself and keep it moving.
For sure.
But that's in the real world, not in the fictional world where this is my father and you saying my dad's handsome. Stop it. Even though Tiff ain't going, we get it. She's not on sort of her Tatiana.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but
For
that
sure.
I found that comical when she said that. Like, man, if you don't get the fuck on.
Bruh.
I had a woman tell me about my uncle once. Like she knew my uncle. Because my cousin Ashley. So shout out to Ashley.
Hey Ash.
Um, went to UT with me.
Mm-hmm.
Her so her who her mom married, my aunt
Mm-hmm.
Tanya, is my uncle Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
And her friend, Ashley's friend, knew them. And once she met me, she was like, "Oh, that's your uncle. Like your uncle fine." And I'm like, "Hey, man, chill out." Shit rubbed me the wrong way. Cause me and you supposed to be talking. Me and you supposed to be. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What you really thinking about?
I got a homegirl. I gonna say her name. I got a homegirl who daddy was stranded in Charlotte for business.
Oh shit.
He asked. I used to have the biggest crush on her daddy. She, so her father was stranded in Charlotte for business, and he asked her for my number, and so he hit me up like, "Oh, Rachel, can you come get me? Like, let's go." I He like, Rachel, let's go. Can we go grab some food? I'm like, of course. We go. We went uptown to dinner. We took a bike taxi around. We went
Hey
to the
man,
we went
what
to
the
the
fuck is
synagogue.
going on?
She said, if you fuck my daddy, I'm gonna kill you. I didn't do it. But he texted me the next day talking about how much of a great time he had.
Hey
And
man, everybody I believe in their lifetime, everybody has had that one contact that you was like, I don't even want to use this number.
mhm,
This shit
mhm,
can go bad.
for sure.
There's been women where like I don't even want your number. I'm cool. Cause I'm cool. I'm cool all the way together. Cause um I don't want to misread the situation.
For
Cause
sure, for
yeah.
sure.
But yeah, going back to the show, going back to the shot.
Yes, back to that. Back to that.
We have Alicia at home.
Mhm.
The door rings. Obviously Rob's going through his physical therapy with Tiff. Alicia's asserting her dominance. Tiff, this is my house. I'm gonna answer the door. This is my house. No, this is my house. You the tenant. And then we see Alonzo come in, and
Mm,
right when he walked in, I knew it. I'm like,
for
oh
sure.
shit, I knew it. Like before they even said it, I'm like, oh, that's Rob's dad.
Mm-hmm.
It just made sense. Rob made a point when talking to Tiff after she told him his dad was handsome.
Mm-hmm.
He made a point of saying, I think Tiff said he looks rich or he
Yeah.
looks like he has money or whatever it is, and he said, he's a lawyer, type of lawyer, the type that helps murderers get away
Mm-hmm.
with murder, or murderers, criminals get away from jail, whatever you said specifically. Um, but also how he's attracted to criminals, and that's probably
Yeah.
how him and his mom got together.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, only thing worse than a young player is an old player because he has that look when he's looking at Tiff. Like I could bag your girl if I wanted
Come
to.
on.
Um, and it's just certain, and it's not even. You have to. I don't know, man. If anybody out there is witnesses, you got to just know like what they. If you ain't hip to game, you might miss it. But if
Yeah,
you are hip to game, like nigga, these are. I've used these moves before.
for
I've
sure.
I've noticed these stairs that are a little bit too
Too long.
sultry. Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
little too long, a little sultry. It's not a quick in and out. Hey, nice to meet you. That's how it should be. Hey, nice to meet you. Da 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 da. It shouldn't be the up and down. Like, oh, okay, man. Y'all, yeah, okay. That's your girl. All right, cool. Um, and we also see him and Alicia,
Yeah.
where regardless of how suave Alonzo is, he does have a purpose and a reason for
Mm-hmm.
being there. I want to check on my son, which I hope we get more information on the backstory there.
Yeah.
He wasn't around; he was always working. But I want to see what kind of happened because he doesn't. I asked you last week, Rachel, if you felt if you thought he was dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think in fairness, if you're a defense attorney, you gotta have some dirt on you. You
Yeah.
can't be successful without it. But this episode, having a couple scenes with him, he doesn't seem like an ain't shit nigga. He doesn't seem like a bad person, however you want to use the term bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make me curious as to why he wasn't around more, or if it more so was a him and Alicia thing,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't if not dealing with you means I can't see my son, then so be it, because that's how tumultuous our relationship is.
Yeah. I didn't get that him and Alicia have a major tumultuous relation had a majorly tumultuous relationship because she still want to fuck that nigga.
Now, about to say she seemed hurt that he ain't around.
For sure. For sure. Um, so it could be it's still like that passion there, but he wasn't going. He seemed to be phased out of like, I know that I could play with you, but I'm not even about to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because he tore her ass up. Tell me I look fucking old and tired. I'm
I'm letting
about
you
to
know.
um but I'm curious. So I still think that he's tricky, but I don't necessarily know how dirty I think he is or really how good he is, because if he's as good as Rob and Maurice kind of made it seem, I would think that he would know better than to approach Rob the way he did to turn witness. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's more of a. I'm assuming the show did that to show us how much he wasn't around. Alicia
Yeah.
said, um, when they were having their conversation, he said, "Hey, Rob was always a laid back kid. He was never
Mhm.
into guns." And Alicia said, "Well, you don't know him that well."
But he's right.
Yeah, he's right. And that's the tricky part about this because he's right, but maybe there is just enough he missed to where he thought that he could go and ask him to be a witness. Maybe because of the bigger cause, and thought, we're not. I'm not asking you to snitch on homie down the street. That nah, this
Mhm.
is something that's gonna clear Vic,
Yeah.
Trig, and kind of get redemption for your mom and everybody else involved. I don't know. it was just an odd move and kind of just show he's kind of playing, playing catch up a little bit.
For sure, for sure. But I would think that as this great attorney, my son or not, I'm approaching you with something a little bit better. Like I'm coming at you a little different regardless, especially given the nature. I like that he was absolutely right in knowing that no, this is not no Rob shit. Yes, I 1000% believe Alicia put you up to this shit because I need to know how else you got this. I'm not even trying to frame your mama, but tell me something. If there's any other players who could come into play in this, I need to know that too. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Facts.
as this great defense attorney who took your work, took you from your family, I will hope you got a better strategy than this. Like, come on, dog. So I'm very curious, but I did like that. Um, Not that I enjoy seeing Alicia get her face cracked, but there was something satisfying about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because she's too powerful, and I don't want you to lose your power to a man. Don't get me wrong. You know, I don't believe in that.
Right.
But there was something, it just showed another chink in her armor, which is a chink in many women's armor, these fine, beautiful ass, treacherous men.
Hey man, I need a favor. I needed a father.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Alonzo's gonna have to find another way to go about it. But also at the end of that scene, he pulls out his briefcase and you see the pictures of young Rob. So
Mhm.
that's what led me earlier, as I said, I want to know more about this relationship and what's going
Yeah.
on with it, um, to kind of get a better idea how this is gonna flow and work out.
Hmm.
Um, but man, I can't get over. I have to say it one more time. I can't get over the casting. Incredible,
Incredible.
incredible casting. It just so happened to work out that they favor each other, and when you can get a legend like Leon to come on
For
your
sure.
cast,
For
that just
sure.
elevates your show.
Yeah.
And I don't think you get someone like Leon where I think he gets his own storyline in this regard. I think we're gonna get a lot more of him over these next few episodes.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah. And then lastly, I guess, if unless you have anything else to say about that,
Now go ahead.
we'll wrap it up with Alicia and Shad.
What I tell you.
You said it.
What I tell you.
You called it. Rachel be knowing.
Oh, dog.
Rachel be
I be
knowing.
fucking knowing. I
One
be
day, one day, one day, there's gonna be a podcast headed by Rachel called Rachel Be Knowing.
knowing.
Because you were 100% spot on with these things. Shy comes over to change the locks. You can change those locks in the morning,
Come on.
and she got shy. I don't know if this is a shy just being shy. Got me feeling like a different man.
Come on.
Now that is, I know it's Alicia Whitfield, Lynn Whitfield, Alicia in the show,
Yeah.
but I can understand,
Period.
Lynn Whitfield wanting to have you change your ways and change your life.
Come on.
But we see the hustler in her as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the bonus. I like to have handsome young men in my bed doing me favors, or the
Hmm.
extra benefits,
Yeah.
as she says. The same way she was ready to risk it all for Alonzo. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, we don't have to reiterate, but that's a long list of women that in that same situation that's going to fold.
Yeah.
But with Shad, I believe it's a little bit different because she's like, all right, this is just a bonus, but the real thing I need from you
Mm-hmm.
is I need a new head of security. So it is as Jake and Gemma talked earlier, it is a have my cake and eat it too situation,
Period.
to where I can put you on, I can get you under my wing. There's probably a deeper reason or a deeper purpose that I have for you down the line. It probably has to do with Duda. I can, finesse. I know you got a felony, so it's cool. I can call in some favors. I'm connected around this city. You can get you a license to carry a gun.
Period.
And anytime I need my back broke,
If you need a fix.
yeah, anytime I need my back broke or something like that, you right here for it.
For
You're more
sure.
than welcome to come through. And yeah, yeah. The jacket.
That's how you know she's still trying to fuck on Alonzo. Don't give me this man's coat.
I'm 100% with Shad. I don't want no niggas hand me downs.
She ain't give a fuck. She want to fuck you in that coat so she can think about her man, her baby daddy. Hello?
I don't even like when my shorties got they old niggas t-shirts and hoop shorts. Throw all that shit out.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
I know. Women is giving up. Women giving up hoop shorts is like giving up their firstborn. Like it's just something that y'all can't part with. I can't tell you how many. I can't tell you how many hoodies and shorts have been
Mm-hmm.
stolen from my possession. Some that I really wish to this day, especially when I think about the women. I'm like, man, I wish I still had that shit. I like that hoodie. Why the
Yeah.
fuck did I give it to her? But that's besides the point. I'm not here with the hand me down. I'm not here with the why do you still have this jacket for one?
She was waiting on her man to come home. It's
I
in the
guess
closet too. It ain't in the garage or in
that's
the
what I'm saying. It's
attic.
not boxed up.
Come on, man.
Yeah, she might. Never mind. Let me not go too far. I was about to say she might be doing some things with that jacket when she's in
You
her
can
time
always
of
come.
need. But the way she like got her arm around his shoulder and rubbing on him, and
I love a master manipulator as long as it ain't me. Yes. Shy
hey,
don't even know.
he don't even know it. What does that look like for you? What does him being head of security look like? What
It
do you think
doesn't
is
look
the
like
ultimate play in this?
because well, it's a fall guy, somebody who's already been to prison. She does not think well of him. Like, yeah, I could fuck you. You a nice, handsome man. You have a felony. Okay, you've been to prison. You probably don't really mind going back, or even if you do, I don't really give a fuck. Alicia does not care about the greater good of this man's humanity. She wants Duda dead so bad she put her non-gun slinging son in harm's way. Her weed man son. Again, I've
Wow.
said it these last couple of episodes. Rob is not a dope man. He ain't no street nigga. He is somebody who grew up well with a lawyer father and whatever Alicia does legitimately, an entrepreneur mother, probably on the north side or on the west side of Chicago. Um,
I think the West Side is like the athletes and all that stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know the full layout, but I do remember hearing about certain things. So yeah,
okay. And she got all the money, and your brother was Duda's boss, who he took out to be the man on top. So you got motherfucking bread. You grew up with that silver spoon, very much so. However, ill-gotten means is ill-gotten means, you know. So it's in you. What's in you got to come out again. She doesn't care about Rashad. He is a non-entity. Just so I can get fucked on and somebody to do my dirty work.
and for Shad, it's a quick come up. Like many people out of
Mhm.
jail, looking for work. I can't. This
Looking for
handyman
work and a roof.
and a roof. Um, Rachel has been adamant on numerous episodes of just the broke D, the broke stroke,
Broke stroke.
and how a lot of men seek housing
For
because
sure.
of these sexual favors that they provide,
For sure.
because they don't have a lot of other things going for them, and they try to get back on their feet.
Mhm.
Um, Good money, I get the fuck on you.
Mhm.
I don't. I know you're powerful, so I feel like I'm gonna be taken care of. I can't do this handyman work with Darnell and keep sleeping in his charger.
That part.
So if this is what it's gonna take, then cool. A lot of people like that, like Shad, they have to take things day by day,
Mhm.
situation by situation. I can't think of the full picture until I get these first steps done, and that's just how he's maintaining it. And maybe I can save up enough money to where I move on to the next thing. But of course, Shad's not thinking of how do I get out of this when I'm ready to get out of it, because it's not as
Right.
easy as that. So yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna dive right into Shad and what that looks like for him to be head of security.
Yeah.
Especially when we know, I don't know if Shad knows, but we know that Alicia gunning for Duda's head.
Yeah. Shy doesn't know. Shy doesn't know shit.
Yeah, he don't know shit about shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, yes, but that's it. That's all I think I had down for the episode. Did you have
Yeah.
anything else?
No, that's it. Other than I fucking knew it. I wrote that down a couple times. I fucking knew it. That's it. I'm excited for next week. This was a great episode to set us up and give us some of the backstories that we were missing. I like where we're going. I'm intrigued. Shout out to the shy.
Shout out to the Shy. Next week's episode, episode 12, is titled City of Gold.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, you can't have too many episodes without Duda. So
yeah.
I expect a very Duda heavy episode next week.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that I'm expecting to see Shad in his new role. Maybe some of Damien, maybe some of Jake and Tatiana, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of seeing where that whole thing goes.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure how it plays out. Obviously, we didn't get Trig either this episode.
Oh yeah, no.
Um, so we're gonna have some Trig, I'd imagine, next week. And once the episode ends next week, we're officially at the halfway point for this season.
Yeah. Crazy.
So based on how it goes, there's going to be a lot of things that need to transpire in these last few. Rachel, I am keeping an eye on the lack of condom
Mm-hmm.
between Keisha and Emmett.
I ain't forgot.
I didn't
And
think
you
anything.
started making breakfast in bed. That
I
kind
didn't
of
think anything of it in the moment. It was one of those. That's weird that they wrote that in there. I didn't think anything of it, but once you said it, and your pension of knowing, I'm like, damn, man, like another kid. All
yeah.
right, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, Rachel, I think that's about it. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in.
For
Thank you
sure.
for spending your holiday with us.
For sure.
Hopefully, you're getting some rest and relaxation before you head back out for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Information is in the episode description, our link tree, email address, social media page. Do
Yeah.
not forget about the Culture Garden podcast. We will have an episode coming out this week.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week for another episode. We got y'all.
Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool. Peace out.
Peace out. Enjoy your time. Rachel, I love you.
I love you too. I love you deep. Bye,
All
y'all.
right. Peace.